Go. Watch the animation now. Watch that snow pop up. In sections of the Sierras the last 3 days, some have picked up 3 to 4 feet of snowfall as that storm. Matt Macon's here. Time for a daily shower. Let's get right after it. Big time snow and cold moving across the country. And in the last daily shower, we highlighted the 10th, 11th, and 12th. Let's go ahead and do so as that storm continues to move across the western U.S. Thanks again for the support on my channel. Really appreciate. Hit sub, like, comment, let me know where you are, what you think about today's daily shower, and hit that bell up there to let you get notified when new videos are posted. In that last daily shower, this was a picture outside of Truckee, so outside of Tahoe, and we are awaiting the storm. This was about 3 days ago. Watch the animation now. Watch that snow pop up. In sections of the Sierras the last 3 days, some have picked up 3 to 4 feet of snowfall as that storm moves now from California in the Sierras, moving into Montana. Here's a time lapse from Montana. Not near the snowfall totals, but nice to have the snowfall falling there. And in South Dakota this morning, another camera from the Ambient Weather Network, the fine folks at Kestrel providing that. And you can see South Dakota starting to cloud over, getting ready for ice and snow on the way. That means it's time for a forecast. Let's chat about that. So big storm system leaves California in the west. There it is, moving up into Canada over the next couple of days. That's Friday morning there. Watch again. Heavy snow throughout the Rockies, then the northern plains, ice and rain included, and that ice and rain stretch from Minnesota down to the Dakotas. This animation wraps up Friday morning. So between now and then, a line of showers and thunderstorms pretty much moves across all of the plains, along with some gusty wind. And then here we have Nicole. Troublesome storm arriving from kind of a rare direction for Florida. Coastal impacts will be flooding and wind, obviously. The St. John's likely has flooding. This on top of already saturated ground from Hurricane Ian. But this storm will be passing over Florida mostly late tonight through early tomorrow morning, and then it moves up the East Coast, providing lots of rainfall there. We'll chat about that in a moment. Temperatures on the way. Big contrast as that storm system swings out of the west. Helena, Montana high today, Wednesday, only 10 degrees. Bismarck 28. We'll still be in the 60s in Denver, 70s and 80s ahead of that storm system. Watch what happens on Thursday, though. Denver and Cheyenne, Wyoming, down into the 30s and 40s for highs. 28 in Pierce, South Dakota. Fine city there. That's where my dad was born. 16 in Bismarck, Minneapolis, 64. And then you look off to the south in the east, 70s and 80s. Winter storm will spread travel impacts. Any traveler throughout North Dakota, big time problems there. Not just Minot, not just Fargo, but pretty much the whole state will have issues. And then for South Dakota, north of the interstate, up to the state line with North Dakota, we'll have the biggest problems there, and then those travel issues will spread off into Minnesota. Snowfall on the way, not too much left for the Rocky Mountains, but focus in here, northern plains, Bismarck, stretching to the north and east, up into northern Minnesota, those totals climbing from 15 inches and perhaps even more. So quite a doozy of a snowstorm headed to the northern plains. Great water, though. And then as you look surrounding that bullseye of higher totals, we still have several inches to fall in the Dakotas, around 6 inches in some cases, and 6 to 12 inches still possible in northern Minnesota. Not much snowfall in the Rockies. And of course, as the storm system pushes off to the east, we're talking about encountering some warmer temperatures. There's going to be some ice, showing that to you now. Some ice accumulation possible around Thunder Bay, around Fargo, down to Pierce, South Dakota, and in northern Nebraska may have some ice on the way as that storm moves through, and then it changes over to snowfall, deep snow in cases. Total water, though, look at the total water, kind of shifts the bullseye. Total snowfall bullseye was here in North Dakota. Total water is going to focus on Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. So we're talking well north of Milwaukee, but areas around Minneapolis and St. Paul, on up toward Thunder Bay, there's going to be a bullseye of water in there. 2 to 2.5 inches of total water will fall. Another swipe here of some healthier totals from around Hannibal or so, down to the south to Tulsa, kind of over the Flint Hills and extreme, I guess, eastern cases of the Flint Hills into the Osage country. But some of that total water is going to be right around an inch or so. South Texas will have some water coming through. And then here is a swath of very heavy rainfall coming through with the tropical system Nicole. In Florida, we're looking at totals 2.5 to 4 inches will be possible. As that storm wraps up, moves up the east coast, we're still looking at 2.5, 3, 4 inch totals, and that'll cover areas like north of Atlanta, north of Columbia, throughout sections of North Carolina, Kentucky, close to D.C., Philly, Pittsburgh, Charleston, Norfolk, up to New York City is going to be right around an inch to an inch and a half. And then you have Boston to Burlington. Montreal will also be included here too with some heavier totals on up into Maine. We're still looking at an inch plus, all from that tropical system, Nicole. Problematic across the country in terms of too much too quickly for the East Coast, especially around Florida. But valuable water for sections of the northern plains especially. River issues, Mississippi River, you heard about the drought impact there, so it's good to have some water coming through. In some cases, it does lead to that travel impact, though. Let's turn to Colorado. Folks, in Colorado, we have the storm system to swing throughout the day, Wednesday into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Strong winds will be blowing that system through. Most of the water, as you can see, stays on the western slope to about the divide. System kind of falls apart as it moves from the divide over the Front Range Mountains and the plains. We may see some showers down here in the lower country, in the valleys, and also the plains, but the total is not going to be all that impressive. What will be impressive is the lasting cold that is arriving. It lasts multiple days this time, so it's a pattern change, and it will also be the coldest weather that Denver has felt since mid-April, so about 7 months since we've been this cold. Highs on Wednesday in the high country, mostly 50s, but dropping quickly. For the plains, 50s, 60s, 70s, but these temperatures will be dropping progressively as we get later into the day, into the night. So Wednesday, kind of the mild day, if you will, and then here we are with temperatures on Thursday. Steamboat Springs, 29, Meeker, 35, Glenwood, 36, Aspen, 31. Then you look at metro areas, Fort Collins, Broomfield, Littleton, down to Castle Rock, Kiowa, into Colorado Springs, mostly 40s to about 50 as that cold air settles in. Friday morning, Saturday morning will be the coldest with teens, and again, that's the coldest we've been since mid-April. Travel impact for the high country, mostly along I-70 and some of the highways. Rabbit Ears Pass would probably be the worst of all as we go throughout this next storm system. As far as totals, again, not very impressive compared to the northern plains. We still have upwards of 6, 7, 8 inches or so. They're in sections of close to the flat tops or so. And then the ranges as you look into north route. Aspen to Glenwood Springs, just a couple to a few inches, and the same for San Juan's. Snow really dries up as you move east of the divide. As far as total precip, again, stays off to the west. Nice to have the water. It's not a lot, but it's nice to have it. And then you look at Denver, the eastern plains, Fort Morgan, Sterling, Julesburg. We do have to watch out for some showers, but the total impact looks relatively light, except for I-76 from Denver running into Nebraska with some fog early Wednesday morning to midday Wednesday. Could be some areas of icing on those highways and roads to be mindful of. But again, lasting impact for Denver from the 60s Wednesday, really dropping now. Then we'll stay in the 30s and 40s primarily as we go throughout the weekend and the next week. As far as getting a big storm into Denver, doesn't look likely at this time. Next best chance for some precip would be middle part of next week, but Sunday or so might have a couple of showers too. Speaking of showers, that's today's Daily Shower. I'm Matt Makins. We'll see you next time.